Hello everyone, the 316 here with another Marvel Legends review. This time I got the Spider-Man No Way Home final suit, or the Tom Holland suit. I almost said Tom Hardy there. Anyway, Big Bad Toy Store did a restock of all three of the live-action figures of the Spider-Man for this movie, and I was able to get this suit finally, or figure rather. The figure originally retailed for $24.99. I think I got mine after shipping for like $32, so not too bad. I think it was 26 or 27 on the restock, and then they have a $4 shipping option. So I didn't. I wanted to pay not resale prices for this. I'm glad I got this for practically retail. I mean, a couple dollars over, but I can't complain. Just glad to have this figure in here. I'm going to go ahead and start with the packaging here. This is the same as the Tobey Maguire one, but not the same as the Andrew Garfield one. They had to do the Andrew Garfield one so that they had the likeness rights. There's the barcode. I doubt that, this is still in anyone's store, but if you're looking for it, there you go. And up here you can see a read-up of this particular Peter Parker, Peter 1, I believe, and then Toby's 2, Andrew's 3, I think so. Yeah, so it's a package, and if you're wondering how I opened it, I just cut into it with a sharp blade, box cutter, X-Acto knife, whatever you fancy. You can also rip it from the bottom here. There is enough here, but if you want to keep the packaging intact and reseal this figure, you absolutely could. I'm not going to. I get rid of all my boxes. They just take up too much space. And he just fell over. Stand up, will you? Oh well. Let me fix this guy real quick, and then we can take a look at the figure itself. All right, accessories wise, he comes with quite a bit here. First things first, he does of course come with the Tom Holland head sculpt, and this is a reuse of the Peter Ned 2-pack, but this one has really excellent paint job on the face. This looks exactly like Tom Holland from, practically every angle. Like, no matter what angle you have him at, it's definitely Tom Holland. And just that painting is so well done. You can see his brown eyes there. Again, just very well done. More of this, please. One of the best MCU head sculpts probably ever. But back to accessories. He, of course, comes with the masked head sculpt, which we will take a look at when I look up close at the figure. But he's got his thwips, he's got his grips, and he's got his fisted hands, all of which are sculpted, but painted web lines. These are new sculpts as far as I'm aware. And yeah, these web lines don't feel like they're sculpted on there. Maybe, I know they are on the figure, like the body, but the hands, I think they're all just painted on. Maybe not on the fingers. I feel like a little ridge. Anyway, having the figure up close, I really like the color scheme on this. The red is not quite like a deep red. It's just like, it's like red, but like a racer red. Now, on camera, it does look a little orange, but that's because of my green background. So with a white background, actually that makes it look more orange. Oh well. Anyway, it's a slightly pinkish red, just a very slightly pinkish red, and the upper torso is a different color to the midsection piece. Although the midsection piece has that shine on it, unlike the upper torso, which just has it on the spider logo. So maybe that's what's kind of throwing me off. I really like the blue, though. It's a more metallic blue than it is just a flat blue, and I think that really helps make this particular suit pop. And they just did a really good job of translating what we saw briefly in the film into this action figure. Hopefully, we see Tom Holland in this suit again in the next Spider-Man movie or whatever movie he's gonna be in next. Either way, it's just a really nice suit. Really like the shiny blue, especially on the midsection piece back here. It really stands out that most on that piece. On the upper torso, I believe it is painted blue because it does have a slightly different sheen to it. Still hits the light very nicely, and I think these pieces are painted that blue color as well. So a couple of things I want to point out is some people have had some QC issues with this figure. as well as the other two figures, but mostly this figure I've noticed. So the two biggest QC issues are the forearms here. Mine out of the package were pretty stiff, but I was able to loosen them just a bit from posing, and neither of them feel like they're going to break off. But what I recommend is if you want to take the hands off, grab from the forearm, not from the bicep. Don't pull on this piece any more than you would a normal figure. Just, it's a little delicate, but you shouldn't have any issue with that unless your figure has a QC issue. Mine's held up pretty good. Number two, the thigh pieces here, specifically the ball joint in there. I've seen some people actually rip off this piece, not from their own fault, just accidentally. And it's an issue with my Amazing Spider-Man where it feels like the ball joint's going to break. But what I recommend doing as a test is taking, one of the legs and just pushing up at them from the knee and see if the leg goes up. If it does, you're probably fine. But if it doesn't, then I would recommend heating it up and then just very softly working the joint. Thankfully, again, my figure did not have this QC issue. But eventually, like I said, my Amazing Spider-Man figure developed that issue on this side where if I move it up any further, it feels like it's going to rip the joint. So I don't pose him much anymore. What I really like about the red sections is that they are textured, but it's very slight texturing. It's not hexagonal, I don't think. Again, very hard to tell. Let me look with my eye. I think it's just dotted, kind of like a basketball. That's kind of what it looks like to me, like a basketball texture, just dots in rows. I don't have too many QC issues paint-wise. There are a couple, blemishes here, and where was the other one? Right there on the bicep, or shoulder, and one on the bicep. But to me, I honestly don't mind that this one doesn't look perfect because, this was a homemade suit. Like the first proper Tom Holland homemade suit that looks like just Spider-Man. So I'm okay with some of the paint details looking a little wonky. For me, I don't really like the forearm on this side. Like they added too much black paint, like it's a little too emboldened. Similar thing here where they have this black line, but over here it's less noticeable. It's not that I don't like it. It's rather it just looks weird. Oh, also on the shoulder here, you can see it's very hard to tell actually, but there's this black line, but there's also a molded line underneath that. You can kind of see that just a little bit. And it's easier to see on this side. You can see the line, but you can see this line that follows, and that one's not painted in. I don't know if that was something they decided to do, leave it blank or what, but if you want to paint that in, you can. I think the most important part of this figure, though, is its articulation. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that. Won't be doing it with the Tom Holland head. I think most people are going to have it with the Spider-Man head proper. But he can look up a decent amount. He can look down, not too bad. And then he's got some pivot, which is excellent. And of course, it's on a ball joint. I could go 360. He does have this like weird where it like goes at a diagonal, but then it like flattens out. So if you want to, you could probably cut some notches in this neck piece. It is a rubber piece, and you could get some more range of movement, especially out of the looking up. I kind of wish they did a disc hinge on this particular figure. Same with the other two. Let's see. He can do a perfect T-pose. That looks great. And then he does have the diaphragm hinge. So the hinge going forward, pretty good, but the hinge going back, it doesn't translate well on camera, but that's about it. Like you can't do much with the back on this joint. On the upper joint, it's pretty good. On the lower, not so much. I know some people don't really like this particular articulation, but I'm actually a fan of it. You get the crunch, but you also get some pivot here and some weird swivels if you really wanted to. Yeah, it breaks up the fabric, but that's something I could live with. It's not that big a deal to me, at least. The butterfly joint, so like let's say that's the middle. Here's how far back it can go. Here's how far forward it can go. It's not a lot of butterfly joint, but it's enough for me. you can modify it, but you'll have to crack the torso along the seam line, and that's just not something I'm willing to do to my figure, especially for how much this can go on the aftermarket. I've seen him sell for like 60. And then I already showed you here, he does have, the joint there, and you can kind of see it's like squared off or hexagoned off. The thigh does have rotation. Mine is a little stiff though. Also, the cut is completely straight. It's not rounded like other Spider-Man figures. He can kick his own ass pretty easily. And then let's see, he can do the splits, and you can use the drop-down hinges. That's about as good of a spread as you're going to get. And with the drop-down hinges, you can have him with his leg in weird poses. I don't recommend going past that. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I did not like how that felt. Uh-oh. Did I just break the figure? I mean, it's not broken, but it definitely... I don't recommend doing that, bending this down and then twisting that, because that felt like it was going to break. Thankfully, there has been no damage to the parts, but yeah, just be careful. That might happen. And of course, he's got a toe pivot and hinge, but no boot cut. I'm fine with no boot cut as long as there's a thigh cut. That's all I really care about. As long as it's got one swivel down there, that's all I need. Alright, let me stand this guy up. He has some issues standing up, but I was going to bring down all of my Spider-Man from my collection, but now that I have so many, I just decided not to. So, final swing Spidey here stands at exactly 6 inches tall. Pretty good. Get the accessories out of the way. And since I already showed them off, well, here's Peter 3, and here's Peter 2. Yeah, so there's all of our live-action Spidey. Honestly, I kind of like the other two visually better. I just like the colors and how realistic they feel. The one in the middle, of course, is based on a CGI suit, so it does have a little air of like fakeness, but I still really do like this suit, and I hope we see it in a more proper form later down the line. And our other two Spider-Man figures I have here, we of course got my personal favorite, the 2020 Retrocard, and he's taller than all of them. And so is my other favorite Spidey, the Scarlet Spidey. And that's all the Spideys I brought down. But I did go ahead and bring out my Astonishing Wolverine, so you can see how the red and the blues kind of contrast. Wolverine's is a little bit darker of a blue, but Final Swing is just a little bit more metallic, but they kind of look good next to each other. I do like how this red and this yellow interact. It definitely reminds me of like comic book Spider-Man and Wolverine. And I have seen some people use this Spider-Man as their comic book Spider-Man, and I think these two actually match. Might do a head swap. I always worry about doing a head swap with my Scarlet Spidey. Let's see, do the pegs match? The pegs, it looks like they match. Ooh, that didn't feel good. But there you go. If you want to do a comic book Spidey, proportionally the heads you might have to fudge a little bit, but it doesn't look bad by any means. Uh-oh. Ooh, that did not want to come off. Thankfully, again, did not break it. I gotta stop playing with this figure before something actually does break. Alright, let's get our extra Spideys and Wolverine out of here so that we can do our usuals. Obviously, there's Scarlet Spidey. The Star Wars Black Series Retrocard Boba Fett. Boba Fett. Bounty Hunter. The G.I. Joe Classified Tiger Force Outback. And our Power Rangers Lightning Collection Dino Thunder Black. Moving on to our 7-inch scale stuff, here's the Halo Jazzwares Spartan Yoroi. The wrestling figures, we got WWE Mentality 100 John Cena, and the AEW Unrivaled Samoa Joe. We have our McFarlane Gold Label Batman, Arkham City, and we have our Atrocitus Build-A-Figure. So I absolutely do recommend this figure. It's a great Spider-Man. Just be careful with posing. You might break something. For all that's included, you get 3 sets of hands. Sorry, I was thinking of a different figure I took a look at, but 3 different sets of hands. None of them are missing or mismatched, rather. The figure looks good, especially with the other 2 Spider-Men. This Tom Holland head sculpt is probably the best Tom Holland head sculpt we've ever gotten, and one of the best MCU head sculpts, period. It's just that damn good. Even better than the 2-pack with Ned. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below what other Marvel Legends Spider-Man figures you want to see me review. I'm still not sold on getting Renew Your Vows Spider-Man, especially since he goes for like 80 bucks. I do want to get the Ant-Man, or rather Giant Man, a Wasp 2-pack. I hope that they restock that once the HasLab has shipped. I'd really like to get that 2-pack because I don't have like $400 for Giant Man on the aftermarket. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell. It all helps out the channel. And as always, peace.